Uncle Herb's Velvet Venture. Herb Powell leaned back in his plush leather chair, the faint glow of neon lights reflecting off his whiskey glass. Smoke curled from his cigarette, weaving through the hazy air of Velvet Dreams, his pride and joy. After the baby translator made him millions, Herb thought he'd found his happily ever after. But wealth brought boredom, and boredom led to eccentric ideas, like opening a high-end strip club in Capital City. "Life's too short not to indulge a little," Herb had told his financial advisor, who left shaking his head. Herb didn't care. He wanted a place where he could sit, sip, and soak in the chaotic beauty of life. And boy, did Velvet Dreams deliver. The vision of Velvet Dreams. The club was Herb's masterpiece. He envisioned a place that was elegant but electric, a world where velvet drapes met pulsating neon. The stage, adorned with glittering poles and a backdrop of cascading lights, created a hypnotic ambience. The club catered to a mixed clientele, Wall Street executives, college kids throwing away their student loans, and an assortment of loners looking to escape their troubles for a night. The drinks were premium, the music was seductive, and the performers were the best Capital City had to offer. Herb wasn't stingy. He paid his dancers top dollar, trained his staff to exude professionalism, and demanded respect from everyone who walked through his doors. For Herb, Velvet Dreams wasn't just a business, it was his second chance to matter. The corner booth. Herb had a permanent spot at the back of the club, a plush booth hidden in the shadows, yet with an unobstructed view of the main stage. This wasn't about lust or romance for Herb. He came to observe. There was something mesmerizing about the way life pulsed through the club, the way people danced, laughed, and revealed sides of themselves they kept hidden in the daylight. Every night, he'd nurse a glass of whiskey, puff on a cigarette, and watch. Sometimes, he'd strike up conversations with customers, offering dry wit or the occasional life lesson. But most nights he stayed quiet, blending into the background like a ghost haunting his own creation. Enter Kirk Van Houten. It was a Thursday night when Herb spotted a familiar figure slinking into the club. Kirk Van Houten, Springfield's perennial sad sack, had somehow found his way to Velvet Dreams. Kirk looked out of place, his cheap blazer wrinkled and his thinning hair combed over with tragic effort. He clutched a handful of crumpled bills, clearly unsure of himself. Herb smirked. "What's the universe trying to tell me now?" he muttered, taking a drag from his cigarette. Kirk awkwardly perched himself at the bar, ordering a cheap whiskey. He sat stiffly, glancing at the stage but too embarrassed to make eye contact with anyone. Herb watched him with detached amusement. Over the next few weeks, Kirk became a regular fixture at Velvet Dreams. He'd shuffle in, order the same drink, and fumble through awkward conversations with the bartenders. One night, Kirk spotted Herb in his corner booth and waved nervously. "Hey, you're Powell, right? Homer's brother?" Herb grunted, annoyed that his past had followed him here. "Yeah, that's me." Kirk waddled over, drink in hand, and sat down without being invited. "I gotta say, this place is amazing. Back in Springfield, I'm a nobody, you know. But here, I'm Kirk Van Houten, king of the night." Herb snorted, taking a sip of his drink. "Well, King Kirk, try not to embarrass yourself too much." The dancers whirled. Herb admired his performers. They were professionals, each with a story that fascinated him. Tiffany, the star of the club, was a former gymnast who turned to dancing to pay for medical school. She moved with an effortless grace, commanding the room's attention. There was Sapphire, a fiery redhead who lived for the applause, and Diamond, a single mom supporting her kids with her charisma and wit. One evening, Tiffany approached Herb between sets. "You know, you've got this mysterious vibe going on back here," she teased. "It's like you're plotting world domination or something." Herb chuckled, swirling his whiskey. "I'm just an old man enjoying the show, Tiffany." She smiled and walked away, her laughter echoing faintly over the music. Herb watched her go, marveling at the energy and resilience of the women who worked for him. The Regulars Parade. The club had its cast of regulars beyond Kirk. There was Diamond Jim, a real estate mogul who tipped extravagantly but spoke to no one. Then there was Chelsea, a quiet woman who came every Friday, nursing a martini while sketching the dancers in a notebook. Herb appreciated the diversity of his clientele. It gave the club a vibrancy he couldn't find anywhere else. Of course, Kirk stood out. On one particularly memorable night, he drunkenly grabbed the microphone and belted out "Can I Borrow a Feeling?" On stage. The dancers tried to stifle their laughter, while the patrons half cheered, half jeered. Herb rubbed his temples, but couldn't help smiling. "Kirk," he muttered, "you're a walking punchline." A quiet reflection. As the night wound down, Herb took a moment to reflect. The dancers finished their last sets, the music softened, and the patrons began to file out. Tiffany counted her tips, Sapphire joked with the DJ, and Kirk, predictably, passed out on a couch in the VIP lounge. Herb extinguished his cigarette and finished his drink, feeling a strange mix of pride and melancholy. This wasn't the life he imagined when he first struck it rich, but it was a life he'd built on his terms. For a man who'd lost everything once, that meant something. He stood, stretching his legs, and took one last look at the neon-lit stage. Tomorrow would bring another crowd, another night of stories unfolding in the glow of velvet dreams. And Herb Powell would be there, a quiet observer in the corner booth, savoring the chaotic beauty of it all.